There's something you've been feeling but can't name, that gnawing emptiness when she doesn't text back, the desperate need for her approval that makes you twist yourself into shapes that aren't you, the way you lose your center the moment she withdraws her warmth. You think this is love, but what if I told you it's the most sophisticated form of slavery ever devised? You've been living as a puppet, dancing to strings you can't see, controlled by forces you refuse to acknowledge. While you chase her validation like a dog chases scraps, you're missing the brutal truth that would set you free. You are the prize being fought over, not the beggar fighting for crumbs. Friedrich Nietzsche saw through the romantic delusions that keep modern men trapped in cycles of neediness and desperation. He didn't hate women, he understood them. More importantly, he understood the game being played beneath the surface of every interaction, every relationship, every moment when you feel that familiar ache of wanting someone who seems just out of reach. What you're about to discover will shatter every comfortable lie you've told yourself about relationships, power, and your own masculinity. This isn't about manipulation or hatred. It's about awakening to psychological truths so profound that once you see them, you can never unsee them. You'll stop being the actor in someone else's play and start being the director of your own reality. But I warn you, this knowledge comes with a price. Once you understand these principles, you'll see the desperate choreography of neediness everywhere in your friends, in strangers, perhaps most painfully, in your own past behavior. You'll watch men grovel for attention that flows freely to those who don't chase it. You'll witness the tragic comedy of validation seeking that keeps most men in perpetual boyhood. Are you ready to stop being controlled by forces you don't understand and start wielding power you never knew you had? Then let's descend into the uncomfortable truth about human nature that Nietzsche discovered over a century ago. He who needs nothing has the most power. You think you're being romantic when you tell her she completes you. You believe you're expressing love when you make her the center of your emotional universe. But Nietzsche would look at you with the same pity he reserved for slaves who thanked their masters for their chains. Every text you send hoping for a response is a confession of weakness. Every explanation you offer for your behavior is a surrender of power. Every moment you spend wondering what she's thinking is a moment you're not building the kind of life that makes wondering unnecessary. The man who needs nothing is dangerous because he can't be controlled. When she senses that your happiness doesn't depend on her presence, that your confidence doesn't require her validation, that your purpose continues, regardless of her participation, something shifts in the dynamic. You stop being a supplicant and become a force. But most men fear this independence more than they fear rejection, because it means facing the terrifying possibility of existing alone with themselves. They'd rather be needed slaves than free gods. They choose familiar suffering over unfamiliar power. The moment she knows you need her, she owns you. But the moment she realizes you don't, she needs you. She's not trying to hurt you when she creates drama. She's testing you the way fire tests steel, not out of cruelty, but out of evolutionary necessity. Every argument, every emotional outburst, every moment when she seems unreasonable is actually a sophisticated examination of your psychological foundation. Most men fail this test spectacularly. They argue emotionally, trying to logic their way through feeling-based challenges. They explain when they should observe. They react when they should respond. They enter her emotional reality and try to fight on her terms, never realizing they've already lost the moment they stepped into the arena. Emotion is her weapon. Stillness is yours. When she screams, you breathe. When she flails, you watch. When she demands explanations, you offer presence. This isn't coldness, it's mastery. The man who remains centered in emotional storms becomes a lighthouse that others navigate toward, not a ship tossed by every wave. Nietzsche understood that strength isn't loud, it's still. The godlike detachment of someone who can't be moved by external circumstances is magnetic in a way that neediness never will be. You don't argue with the weather, you dress appropriately and continue your journey. There's a part of you that you've spent years hiding, denying, or trying to forget. Your selfishness, your anger, your sexual desires, your capacity for destruction. You've buried these aspects so deep that you've forgotten they exist. But she hasn't. She can sense the unintegrated shadow lurking beneath your carefully constructed persona, and she'll poke at it until you either own it or explode. The man who has faced his demons and made peace with them is untouchable. When she brings up your past mistakes, you don't flinch because you've already processed that pain. When she tests your boundaries, you don't collapse because you know exactly where you stand. When she tries to shame you for your desires, you don't apologize because you've accepted the full spectrum of your humanity. Your flaws become armor when you own them completely, but the man who runs from his shadow will be controlled by it. Every unacknowledged weakness becomes a button she can push. Every denied impulse becomes a source of shame she can exploit. Every repressed emotion becomes a weapon in her unconscious arsenal. Jung was right. You don't become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making your darkness conscious. The integrated man doesn't pretend to be perfect. He's honest about his imperfections in a way that makes them irrelevant. What you ignore, others will use against you. While other men compete for her attention like dogs fighting over scraps, you compete with who you were yesterday. While they perform and posture and plead to be noticed, you build something so undeniable that attention flows to you naturally. The paradox: when you stop chasing her, you chase your purpose. Guess who she can't stop thinking about? Most men make women the prize and themselves the contestant. They lower their value by entering competitions they've already lost by participating. The moment you try to impress her, win her, or stand out among other men, you've revealed that you see yourself as dispensable, one option among many, rather than the only option that matters. But the man who focuses on his own evolution, who competes with his past self, rather than other men, creates a gravitational field that pulls others into his orbit. He doesn't chase, he attracts. He doesn't perform, he exists. He doesn't need to be chosen, because he's already chosen himself. She's not attracted to safety. She's attracted to edge, to the sense that you could destroy, but choose not to. The nice guy gets overlooked because he poses no threat. The aggressive man gets discarded because he can't control his power. But the man who carries danger like a hidden blade, who radiates the capacity for destruction while maintaining perfect self-control, he's unforgettable. You're not the nice guy. You're not the jerk. You're the man she senses could break her but never would. This isn't about being cruel or aggressive. It's about developing such mastery over yourself that your restraint becomes more impressive than other men's displays of force. She needs to know that you could walk away, that you could choose someone else, that you could unleash consequences, and that you choose not to because of your strength, not your weakness. Nietzsche's ideal man had power in every step, but never needed to raise his voice to prove it. His presence was his proof. His calm was his credential. His ability to remain unmoved was his magnetism. In a world drowning in noise, the man who can hold his tongue holds the high ground. You've been conditioned to explain, defend, and justify, but power doesn't beg to be understood, it simply is. The more you speak, the more you leak power. When she asks why you didn't text back, you say, "I was busy." No apology, no story, just presence. When she questions your decisions, you don't justify, you stand in your choice. When she tries to pull you into explanations, you offer mystery instead. Silence creates tension, forces reflection, and demonstrates that you don't need her understanding to continue existing. It shows that your reality is solid enough to stand without external validation. It proves that you're comfortable with space, with mystery, with the uncomfortable truth that not everything needs to be explained. Nature's strength wasn't in being wanted, it was in doing the wanting. You've been programmed to chase, prove, and hope to be picked. But every time you pursue her attention, every time you try to win her over, every time you position yourself as one option among many, you abandon your throne and join the crowd of supplicants. Real men don't chase, they build themselves into something so solid, so focused that they become the center around which others orbit. Your attention becomes a reward, not a given. Your time becomes precious, not available. Your presence becomes earned, not assumed. When you stop chasing, she starts wondering, why aren't you trying? Why don't you seem to need her? Why can't she stop thinking about the man who appears complete without her? That's the shift from needy to needed, from follower to force. She will test you not because she hates you, but because she needs to know you're solid. Women test strength the way fire tests steel, not to destroy, but to reveal quality. She'll push your buttons, question your worth, and stir your emotions to see if you'll flinch, crack, or fold. Most men take the bait. Strong men treat it like a game. When she says, "You're not enough," you smile not to impress, but to show you're unshaken. That smile isn't weakness. It's proof of inner calm. When she creates drama, you remain centered. When she tries to make you prove yourself, you simply exist in your truth. The man who cannot be broken becomes the man no one forgets. Your unshakable nature in the face of tests earns something deeper than attraction. It earns respect. And respect is the foundation upon which genuine desire is built. Nietzsche didn't care about being liked. He cared about being respected. Affection is easy to give, easy to fake, and easy to lose, but respect must be earned, and once earned, it endures. Be liked, and you're a moment. Be respected, and you're a memory. Most men chase smiles, compliments, and approval, mistaking these surface pleasures for genuine connection. But a woman might like you today and ghost you tomorrow. If she respects you, however she remembers you, she rethinks you. She desires you not to control, but to follow. Respect creates polarity, the tension between masculine and feminine that generates authentic attraction. When you demand respect and give it only to the worthy, you walk a higher path that naturally elevates those around you. Women often live fluidly in emotional reality where what feels true in the moment becomes the whole truth. When that emotional truth turns against you, it can sound like blame, distortion, or manipulation. If you're not grounded in objective reality, you'll get pulled into the swirl. She says, "You're selfish. You know you're focused." That's the difference between feeling and fact. This isn't about dismissing her emotions, it's about not letting them rewrite your reality. When you hold to truth, you hold power. Truth doesn't chase approval or bend to convenience. It stands regardless of who believes it or who feels comfortable with it. Nietzsche's strength was rooted in this clarity, staying centered while the world spun around him. You don't fight emotions, you simply don't lose yourself in them. Be the mountain that remains unmoved by the weather. Most men abandon their mission the moment they meet a woman. They start bending, adjusting, trying to fit into her life, her pace, her emotions. In doing so, they lose the very direction that made them attractive in the first place. You don't ask her to fit in. You live your vision and watch her adapt. A man with vision doesn't follow, he leads. He builds his kingdom brick by brick, with or without approval. When you're fully rooted in your purpose, she feels it. She'll either rise to meet your standards or fall away, but you never chase her world. You invite her into yours. Nietzsche's ideal man wasn't reactive. He was a creator. Be the man whose reality is so rich, so defined, that it becomes her new gravity. Don't step off your path to find her. Let her walk into the life you've already claimed. The strongest man isn't the one who gets her, it's the one who can lose her and still sleep like a god. Most men become so emotionally invested that the thought of walking away feels like death. That's not love, that's bondage. True power lies in the ability to remain calm in the face of loss. knowing you'll never compromise your values, vision, or peace to keep someone. When she senses you don't need her to feel whole, your value doubles. You're not clinging, you're choosing. And choice is rare in a world of desperate attachment. The man who can walk away holds the power because he's proven his completeness doesn't depend on her participation. Stay if it aligns, walk if it doesn't, but never beg to be kept. Don't try to change her, observe her. Most men waste energy trying to make women see, explain, or fix what feels off. But you don't change people. You watch them. You listen. You notice patterns. You trust what you see over what you're told. Watch long enough and everything you need to know appears. She might say she values honesty but hide truths. She might claim she wants peace but feed drama. When her words and actions don't align, you don't argue, you note it and adjust your engagement accordingly. This is quiet strength, calm awareness. The superior man doesn't cling to illusions. He sees clearly, acts decisively, and never tries to fix what reveals itself through consistent behavior. True strength begins where impulse ends. Most men are ruled by what feels good: sex, beauty, validation. But when pleasure becomes your master, power slips through your fingers. You become predictable, weak, controllable. The highest man doesn't need pleasure, he chooses it. He can enjoy without worshiping desire, without being controlled. When she tempts you, smile. You've tasted power greater than pleasure, and she knows it. That calm resistance is magnetic because women don't just sense hunger, they test for it. Direct your energy toward creation, not consumption, toward purpose, not addiction. Pleasure fades, but power builds. The man who masters both becomes untouchable. She's beautiful. So what? You're powerful. Too many men pedestalize women, seeing beauty and mistaking it for value. But beauty is common, power is not. The moment you see yourself as the prize, everything shifts. You stop chasing and start choosing. You stop proving and start being. Power doesn't beg, it chooses. That's the difference between boys and men. Boys chase what sparkles. Men build what shines. When you walk like the prize, speak like the prize, live like the prize, you don't need to convince anyone. You're not a contestant, you're the storm, and storms never chase. Nietzsche didn't preach hatred, he preached transcendence. His mission was simple yet ruthless. Become more than you are, not through domination but through self-overcoming. The path of the superior man is clear. Stop reacting and start creating. Stop chasing approval and start commanding respect. Stop fearing tests and start welcoming them as proof of your strength. This isn't about playing games. It's about no longer being played. In a world of followers, become the force that others follow. Don't fight for the crown, become it. Your awakening begins the moment you stop tolerating what diminishes you and start embodying what elevates you. The choice is yours. Remain a slave to forces you don't understand or become the master of your own reality. The revolution starts within, and it starts now.